It happens in silence first. A flash brighter than the sun. For a fraction of a second, no one even understands what they've seen. The sky turns white, and shadows vanish. If you were looking directly at it, just for a heartbeat, you may already be blind. Then the fireball blooms. In less than a second, it expands to hundreds of meters wide, hotter than the surface of the sun. Anything within that radius isn't just destroyed, it ceases to exist. Concrete, steel, glass, bone, vaporized in an instant. For those just outside the fireball, survival is no comfort. Skin burns in milliseconds. Clothes ignite. Asphalt liquefies. The shockwave follows like a monster made of air, hitting faster than sound, crushing buildings, flipping cars, hurling people like rag dolls. Windows explode for miles in every direction. Shards of glass slice through rooms, cutting down anyone near them. In apartments, homes, and offices, people are left bleeding, deafened, dazed. And the sound, the thunderclap that follows, echoes across the city like the sky itself has split apart. If you're in the blast radius, there is no warning, no siren, no countdown. By the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. For those farther away, survivors, the first instinct is confusion. Phones light up with missed calls and error messages, but networks jam instantly. Power grids short out. Elevators stall between floors. Traffic lights go dark. You don't yet know what's happened, but you know it's something that will change everything. The government's emergency alert system tries to cut through. A shrill tone on radios, a frozen TV screen with white text. This is not a drill. Seek immediate shelter. But even these signals are patchy, jammed by the electromagnetic pulse unleashed by the blast. In these first 5 minutes, the divide is absolute. For those in the center, life ends without time to scream. For those on the edges, life becomes a nightmare they'll never forget. And here's the terrifying truth. This was only the beginning. The fireball fades, but the city doesn't breathe. It burns. Entire districts are on fire, flames leaping from block to block as shattered gas lines ignite and wooden frames collapse into kindling. Survivors stumble through the streets, skin scorched, clothes hanging in tatters, ears ringing so badly the world feels silent. Hospitals receive the first wave before anyone knows what's happening. Glass injuries, burn injuries, crush injuries. And behind them, a tidal wave of panic. People flooding toward the nearest ER as if a hospital wall could somehow stop radiation. Within minutes, hallways are jammed, stretchers full, floors slick. Doctors and nurses are forced to triage. Who can be saved, who can't? Social media explodes, but truth is impossible to find. Grainy, shaking videos show mushroom clouds from miles away. Tweets scream about multiple strikes, another city hit, blackouts everywhere. Some are real, most are lies. But in those minutes, fear spreads faster than fallout. In grocery stores, panic buys the last bottles of water and canned food within minutes. Lines jam ATMs until power flickers and screens die. A rumor passes from phone to phone. The banks will close tomorrow. Take cash now. Another insists the water supply is contaminated. No one knows what to believe. Traffic becomes a trap. Highways out of the city lock within minutes. Cars nose to bumper, horns blaring. Families sit trapped in gridlock, watching the black column rise behind them, knowing they won't outrun it. For some, the only chance of survival lies not in escape, but in finding the nearest basement, parking garage, or subway tunnel, and hoping the walls are thick enough. By the 30-minute mark, The city is no longer recognizable. Fires rage, sirens wail, rumors spread, and radiation begins its silent march. And for millions, the question is the same. Where is safe? 30 minutes after the blast, survival is no longer about chance. It's about choice. Families huddle in basements, subway tunnels, and parking garages, anywhere with concrete thick enough to block the invisible dust drifting down from above. People stack mattresses against windows, push furniture against broken doors, and pray that four walls will be enough to hold back the fallout. The air is tense, every cough echoing like a gunshot. Above ground, the streets are chaos. Fires glow through the night sky, painting the city orange against the rising column of black. Sirens wail, sometimes cutting off mid-scream as power grids fail. Soldiers and first responders attempt rescues, but each block feels like a battlefield. Burning cars, collapsed buildings, panicked crowds, and radiation zones no one dares to enter. Inside hospitals, the situation spirals. Generators hum as the main grid collapses. Supplies vanish, burn ointments, IV bags, even clean bandages. Doctors move with grim efficiency, marking some patients for immediate care, others for comfort only. The cruel math of triage is now the only law. And then comes the silence, the moment when communications collapse. Phones stop buzzing, radios fade into static, internet connections crawl to a halt. For many, it's the most terrifying part of all. Not knowing if another strike is coming, not knowing if help is on the way, not knowing if their city has been abandoned. In homes where people managed to shelter, a deadly clock starts ticking. Radiation exposure is measured in minutes. Staying outside means sickness, burns, and death. Staying inside, behind concrete, brick, or earth, might mean survival. Families ration bottled water. They cover their mouths with damp cloths. They write notes to loved ones by candlelight, uncertain if they'll ever be delivered. On the roads, traffic jams are now graveyards. Drivers abandon cars, fleeing on foot, searching desperately for cover as the first wave of fallout begins to descend. To those watching from underground, it looks like a light snowfall, white flakes drifting down. But each speck carries poison that lingers for decades. By the end of the first hour, the city is gone. Not just its skyline, but its systems, its rhythm, its ability to function. No transport, no communication, no commerce, only fragments of survival, scattered in basements, shelters, and darkened stairwells. And for those still alive, the brutal truth sets in. The first hour decides the first week. Those who sheltered in time might live to see the sun again. Those who didn't will never see another morning.